So Shaquille O'Neal, most people know who that guy is. Dr. O'Neal. And
he's a doctor now?
I believe he is. Yes.
Of what?
I think he's
doctor?
education.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and rapper, I believe he's not a doctor, so Wacka Flocka Flame. And they just got hit with lawsuits for reposting a photo of a man with a rare genetic disorder and mocking his appearance. Jamal Binion posted a selfie back in April, which Shaq and Waka eventually reposted with mean-spirited captions, clearly making fun of the man's face. Jamal suffers from a disorder called, I don't know, I'm not the doctor, hypohydrotic ectodermal dysplasia.
Oh my!
It causes like hair follicles not to grow, and he doesn't have teeth. He has a couple of like teeth buds that are kind of funny shaped, and some facial disformities and that kind of thing. So as we reported once, Shaq found out about Jamal's condition. He took down the post, got in touch with Jamal, and apologized. He tweeted, "Hey, made a new friend today. When I called and apologized to Jamal Binion, great dude. Hashtag always learning. Hashtag my bad cuz." Jamal has now filed a defamation suit also against Shaq, Waka.
So Jamal didn't believe it. He didn't think Shaq was being honest.
I don't know. I mean, you can come up with whatever conclusion you want to come to. I honestly believe Shaq didn't want to get the ramifications for. He probably felt terrible. I would imagine he felt bad once he's like, oh, this isn't just an ugly guy who didn't brush his teeth.
Would that be all right to make fun of somebody because they weren't diseased and they just had had some sort of disorder just because they were ugly by nature?
Well, I think if you don't have, some people lose their teeth for not brushing, right? And let me ask you this. We're all learning, right? One of the ways we learn is bad examples of bad behavior. Should you not point out examples of bad behavior? One of the things we do with my son is his grandpa has false teeth.
Yeah.
And his grandpa will do this too. We'll say, you don't want to end up like grandpa and not have any teeth. You want to brush your teeth.
Sure, right? Sure.
Now,
that's different from making fun of the way somebody looks, right? To use an example from real life of somebody who's had a hard time, had a tough life, and say, look, son, there's somebody who had a difficult life. It's these might have been the mistakes that they made. Maybe they drank too much, or they smoked too much, or whatever. Didn't spend their money wisely. That's different than poking fun at the person, saying, look, isn't that person ugly? Ha 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 ha! It's what they look like. And then, doing stuff like that. That's not cool.
I'm not saying it's cool, right. And I wouldn't claim that it was, but I would claim that it's your right.
It's your right, but is it somehow more of a right because somebody doesn't have a disease?
I think that people people look down on.
A diseased person has a special protection from being made fun of?
Yes, they do, because they're born with it, as opposed to somebody who's it's the ramifications of their actions. What do you think about that?
I think it's inappropriate to make fun of either person, regardless of what their life circumstances or choices.
You're going to come down on the side that you don't think that it's okay to make fun of anybody for anything, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty rude.
Right.
Yeah, you treat people as you want to be treated.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Four eyes?
I got it. I'm old. I wear glasses, no doubt. I've got big ears too.
Can't see them. You got headphones on right now.
Indeed. So, but that's beside the point. I think you kind of have to be able to deal with that. Secondly, what kind of defamation suit should I get because you just called me Four Eyes? I think it's ridiculous.
Nothing. I'm not saying that you should be able to sue. Right. I don't think this young man should be able to sue, as rude as Shaq and whoever these other characters were might have been.
I haven't gotten a call from Shaquille O'Neal, and I think that's worth something. This guy did get one. So
why is it worth something to get a call from somebody who played basketball and who was rude to you on the internet?
Well, the guy clearly he cared enough to pick up the telephone.
It was a nice touch. You got to give him that. He certainly didn't have to do that.
I don't know that Utah Jazz guard Trey Burke picked up the phone and gave the man a call.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But or Wacka Flocka Flame. I'm not certain that occurred.
CD.
What's that?
Send him a free CD.
Right, something. So. Yes, I would say that that people that are their looks a result of their actions are more likely to be held up for ridicule And I suppose that's more justified than somebody who is just sort of born that way. This poor guy is born the way he was born, and there's nothing he can do about it. Somebody who, I don't know, played chicken with a train and ended up, messed up. Hey, kids, here's the reason you don't do that crap.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that. And I think that's sort of natural, and maybe that's good for the human race to point out that, hey, you don't make bad decisions because bad decisions had bad ramifications.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, people have had bad times and their stories can be instructive. If we pay attention to the experience of others, hopefully we can learn from those experiences and not have to repeat them in our own lives. I mean, there's no doubt that one can extract value from that, but that doesn't have anything to do with making fun of somebody, which is what this story is about. There's the picture. I see this picture, Mark. I think you're going to link to it. Or link to an article. Does it include the picture?
I have a couple of articles that include the picture.
You'll link to it on our Facebook profile and Twitter and Google+. You can see this for yourself. I mean, it's very juvenile. What Shaq did is, I don't know, what is he, in his 40s, 50s now? He's not a young man.
I would say he's in his 40s, would be my guess.
This is the sort of thing, I mean, the picture that you see here with Shaq kind of jutting out his front teeth and looking like a silly face.
But do you see the guy's, his teeth out too? So, I mean, he's clearly not trying to hide teeth. Well, his little teeth buds.
Yeah, but
he's clearly not trying to hide them. I mean, he's at least showing them to somebody for some reason. Right?
I'm not talking
this
about
is
the
my
kid.
condition.
I'm not talking about the kid's picture. I'm talking about Shaq and how juvenile this is. This is something I would expect to see out of a 10-year-old or a.
What do you think the settlement should be?
Nothing.
Well, he's probably going to get something at this point with the court system.
What is the suit for?
$25,000.
But for what is the claim that he hurt his feelings? I mean, what is
basically.
Well, I think that's ridiculous. I think that the suit should be thrown completely out. I mean, I don't support what Shaq did. I think that what he did was rude, and I don't think people should do that. But I also don't think it's a crime. I don't think it's a tort. I don't think this kid's got a claim.
That is a tort. So, anyway, that's what it says. The defendant.
What is his standing?
NBA star's apology could not undo the emotional damage his offensive communication had inflicted on Binion, according to his lawyer. The defendant's communications clearly implied that the plaintiff was an appropriate object of mockery, ridicule, and shame. The defendant's communications had the effect of lowering the plaintiff's reputation in the eyes of those who respected the views and opinions.
Should this guy be able to sue Shaquille O'Neal for making fun of him? What are your thoughts? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Take control here on the Live Saturday Free Talk Live. Mark, you've been telling us about a story involving a young man, Jamel Binion, who is 23 years old. His feelings were hurt, and rightfully so, by the fact that Shaquille O'Neal, his fancy basketball star, made fun of him. He posted a picture with this young man who has a very debilitative, sort of terrible disease, ectodermal dysplasia. And he posted a picture of this young man, and then he posted a picture of himself right next to it, making a very, very silly face, attempting to imitate the sort of natural face of this young man, which is not an attractive
it's not
face.
His natural face. So I've got a picture here of Jamal dressed up, and he doesn't look terribly abnormal that way. So what he was doing in the circumstances is he was showing off in some way or another, and I'm not sure what his intent was when he was doing it, but he was showing off his sort of teeth buds thing. So yeah, I mean, the dude, when he cuts his hair and probably has some kind of false teeth or whatever in, and puts on a suit, he doesn't look that unusual.
Well, either way, Shaq was making fun of the way he looked in this picture.
Indeed.
And he's not the most attractive of people, I don't think, in general, but it's not appropriate to do what Shaq did. However, I don't think it goes to the level of a lawsuit, and that's what Jamal did. He since sued Shaq, as well as a few other people who made fun of him on Twitter or wherever it was that this was posted, Instagram, I don't even know where it was posted. But my position on this is that, yeah, it's bad, it's tacky and tasteless, and Shaq deserves to apologize and make himself try to make this guy whole with an apology. But I don't think money is necessary here, and I don't think that Shaq is obligated to do these things. It's just the right thing to do to try to make things good with somebody. But $25,000, I mean, I'm sorry, your feelings, you don't have a right to not have your feelings hurt in life. I mean, I had people heckle me at the fair in the past, and somebody made fun of us for pitching Bitcoin out at the fair. That could have hurt me. Do I deserve money because somebody said something mean?
He said something mean to me. Oh. And there's also this thing, and this way of people act in our society. Some of them just kind of wait around to hit the lawsuit lottery, as it were. Oh, I hope I slip and fall in that store. If I saw a wet floor there, I'd hit the ground, or whatever it is that one does. And in order to be able to sue, and I think that this makes it harder on everybody when people think that this is the best way to solve a problem. You know what I could do in this circumstance? I could sue. And $25,000 isn't much for these celebrities. Mounting a defense, like, you're just trying to figure out the amount of money that you can ask them for, that they don't have to, write a check for $25,000. I don't have to mount a defense, whatever.
Have to hire
it's
an
gone.
attorney.
Big deal. Likely the attorney is going to cost them $25,000 to defend.
I would bet it would. Let's go to the phones, get your thoughts here. Dana is on the line in Grand Rapids, listening to WTKG. Your thoughts on, should somebody be able to sue because their feelings were hurt? Dana?
No, Ian, I'm with you, but I want to say something about what Mark just said. Mark, you made a really good point, because if one of you guys would have did this, neither one of you, not that it's any of my business or that I know anything, but I'm guessing neither one of you individually or together are worth as much as Shaq. You think he would have come after you guys or me? Absolutely not. Right. He's going after deep pockets. But now, with that said, I agree. You don't have a right to not get your feelings hurt, because you know what this is? This is the little kids. Everybody gets a trophy for showing up, not because you were the better team or you got into school, not because, like me, I'm a female or the color of one's skin, but because I really deserved that. I worked all through high school to get into a prestigious university, like I just so happened to have. So I'm speaking now because this university I attended, that I deserve to go to, has a very prominent football team on the collegiate level in the United States. I'm going to speak from the both his wealth, celebrity, and from sports status. He is both a jock and wealthy and a celebrity.
Right.
And at one time or another, all of these people think that they can get away with things that other people can't, and they usually do, because they are either a jock, wealthy, or a celebrity. This guy is all three. Now, also remember, he just had conferred on him. I caught this story online when it first came out, before this lawsuit, when it first happened a few months ago. And I also caught the story prior to that, when it was, I believe it is a PhD, a doctor of education, conferred on him. And I'm going to be honest, because he's a jock, and I've heard him talk, not just as a jock, but just in regular interviews, I was shocked. And the first thing I thought of is, back at my university, these classes they put these jocks in so they can pull the seed to stay on the team. And while the rest of us are working our butts off getting A's in the really, really, really hard classes.
Yeah.
So I did think that about Shaq, but now I'm glad he did this, in a sense, not because that third guy was hurt. I would never inflict pain on someone intentionally. But you know what it does? It shows who Shaq is. And this is a guy that just got a doctorate in education. Not in like biophysics or nuclear energy.
Yeah, this is not somebody who I would want to put in charge of a school of kids. I mean, he's making fun of people. Very, very juvenile. It sounds like he's never gotten out of grade school. Dana, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Well, this is just a taste of what Shaq's personality's like. I would have to say, look, everybody's taken that opportunity to be a bully. I would say there's very few people that have never done this. Yeah, he's a grown man. There's no doubt about it. But hopefully he seems more likely.
He's 42.
Of the three. Yeah, I think he's my age. More likely of the three at this point, because I haven't seen anything about them apologizing, that he has learned something from this lesson. I don't know what he's learned. Maybe he's learned that in my position I can't post my real feelings on the internet. I don't know. But you know what? I'm prepared to give Shaq the benefit of the doubt, and I hope that Jamal's fine and everything. But a lawsuit seems like too much to me.
Toll-free
do you
number.
think that he needs to be? Do you think Shaquille O'Neal's too big for his britches and needs to be taught a lesson?
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I think that it's free speech, and even though it's offensive, it's got to be protected. More on the way. It's Free Talk Live. Let's go to the phones here. You can take control. Bring up whatever's on your mind. Let's go to Denny, listening in Charleston, West Virginia. We've been talking about Shaquille O'Neal making fun of a young man who has a condition. Shaq making a face to try to imitate him and basically make fun of him. Now the young man is suing Shaq for $25,000. Your thoughts are welcome. Denny, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead now.
Okay. I was just basically calling in. I was concerned about that. I had read about the story a couple months ago. This new thing of him popping up trying to sue him, that's happened recently, obviously. If you actually look up a couple of videos online, I think a local news source actually went and spoke to him. They have him on camera talking about how he appreciated him calling him and saying everything was okay. What makes me think is that some hotshot lawyer out there has pretty much picked up on the story and thought, I can make some money off of this. Like this I can get some money out of this deal. Shaq's got a lot of money.
I don't know how he got. I don't know how he got from here to lawyer, but I kind of, or maybe some relative said, man, you're crazy not to do something with this. You've got an opportunity here. You can sue. So what if Shaq called you? You got your telephone call. Now you can get some money too. Why not? I mean, has Shaq called you back? That kind of thing. I mean, I just wonder. I wonder if a relative got to him or whether a lawyer got a hold of him, because I don't think a lawyer can actually should not ethically be calling him first.
Why not?
I don't believe
lawyers
they can.
do it all the time. When you get arrested for DUI or you get some sort of traffic charge, you'll start getting mailings from lawyers pitching you on their services, and that's because the government sells lawyers your name and address information. When you get arrested, they give it up, or at least they're checking the police logs or something like that. Whatever they're doing. I've seen lawyers pitching people all the time who've been.
I'm sure there's some lawyer listening and that'll know the specifics of what one can do.
So Denny, do you feel like anybody should be able to sue for hurt feelings?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely not. Sorry.
Absolutely not.
No, I do not think so, no.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to find anyone who does think that one should be able to sue for hurt feelings, but I believe those people are out there, and I would like to talk to them.
Well, there are people that'll say, look, if you've got enough money and you mess up, you just owe people. Like, if you've got enough money, you owe it to the rest of us to give it away. And there are a lot of people that just hate other people for their success. Shaquille O'Neal was born with God-given abilities to be tall and be reasonably athletic, and then he was able to enterprise on those with the skill and training to become one of the greatest basketball players of his time. And he doesn't owe anybody based on that. Denny, he did build that.
Denny, any final thoughts? Go ahead.
Honestly, when it comes right down to it, there are two things. One, he's a doctor of dunk. That's what he's the doctor of. And two, surprised no one's made that joke once already. And two, for somebody who's been affected by this disease his entire life, you would think that he would have a little bit tougher skin. Not to say that does make him it does make him an easier target. People get made fun of constantly.
Yeah.
I'm a huge nerd. I get made fun of all the time. But I'm 23 years old. I became an adult, and I put up with it.
I'm with you.
I think just because he has a lot of money, he's become, honestly, I think Shaq's the target here when it comes down to it.
Well, apparently the rapper guy, Waka, what's his name? Waka or something like that?
I don't know. I'm going to get it wrong if I say it.
Waka
Flame?
Yeah.
Or Waka Flocka Flame.
Flocka.
Gotcha. I'm going to have to go look for that guy's music. I bet it's excellent. Kidding.
Thanks
for the call, Denny. Appreciate it. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE.
So here's what Jamal should have done is when Shaq shared that picture, he should have said, is that the face you make when you miss a free throw? Shaq is famous for missing free throws. Like, just can't hit them. Rocks, bam,
Daniel
plunk,
is with us. He's in Norfolk listening to WNIS. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how you doing?
What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I haven't followed the story, but listening to you guys talk about it, I don't agree with either one of you.
Okay.
I think that Shaq is free to say whatever he wants. He has freedom of speech. What he doesn't have is he doesn't have freedom from speech, which means that whatever he says, he's liable for. And on the other hand, I think that the guy who's suing him is free to do that. The function of the law is to protect each of us individually. It's an individual right issue for me, and that's how I come down on that.
I'm a little confused I'm a little confused about what you're saying, though. I mean, if the law, if the government is supposed to protect our rights, one of the rights is free speech, right? So people should be free to make fun of others. And if it hurts your feelings, that's not real damage, is it? I mean, that's not something that you should owe money for, is it?
Well, hold on. Okay, but you're making – all right, so that's actually 2 points. The first one is, yes, the government, you are free to say whatever you want. However, what you are free from is persecution by the government, specifically crime.
Well, it
is not a crime.
They are using they're using the judicial system. It isn't a crime. That's correct. But do you think I should be held liable right now for saying Shaquille O'Neal's a bad free throw shooter?
Hold on, Daniel.
I mean,
we'll
that could affect his future career.
Daniel, we'll bring you back if you want to continue. Would love to continue the discussion with you here in moments on Free Talk Live. Toll free number 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the program. You, of course, can bring up anything that you want. We are talking about hurt feelings right now. And, you know, it's never fun when somebody makes fun of another individual, whether it's they're making fun of them for the way their face looks, their voice, their body type, you know, whatever it is that's offensive. It's not cool. It's not cool to do that. And Shaquille O'Neal should know better at age 42 to make faces and try to imitate somebody who has a debilitating disease in a way that will cause derision towards that individual. That's what we're talking about here. He apparently posted some sort of picture of himself, Shaquille, online, basically trying to imitate a young man in his early 20s who has a terrible, unusual disease or disorder. And now he's being sued. Now Shaquille is being sued. So, of course, I don't think that Shaquille should be sued for this. I think that it's something that needs to be ironed out in the marketplace. And one of our Facebook comments on this question mark that you'd asked on our Facebook page is, how much should Dr. Shaq have to pay for making fun of this man? As one of the commenters points out here that in terms of cash money, nothing. If he pays in terms of fans lost, that is the decision of the individual fans. And to me, that is, that's how the market could handle something like this. If Shaquille O'Neal's ranking goes down in the minds of people who had previously thought highly of him, then that's some damage that it's going to be difficult for him to undo.
Think of Lindsay Lohan and how she was this amazing rising starlet, and then her behavior at some point or another just turned the corner to unacceptable, and now she's an object of ridicule. Britney Spears at one point had to deal with that sort of thing too.
Daniel is back with us here. We're going to get back to his call and your thoughts as well, but in Norfolk. And I wanted to make sure you had time to get your thoughts out, Daniel. Can you kind of recap what you were saying earlier for our listeners just tuning in?
Right. So my point is that on any one of these questions, I take an individual right stance, and that is that Shaquille has the right to say what he said, and the guy who's suing him has the right to sue him. And the reason, and I can talk about both of those, but I think that, so the freedom of speech, specifically guaranteed by the First Amendment, was really targeted at political speech, and it was targeted at individual persecution for government speech. In other words, they can't come and lock you up because you say something about the king or the president or a legislature.
These things are absolutely true.
But however, tort is not the same thing.
Indeed.
So the tort law, the law, in its truest form, if it's not perverted, the function of the law is to protect one individual from another so that we do not interfere with our own individual rights. And that's why this guy has the right to sue.
He has the right to sue, but the judge has the right to kick the suit out right in the first hearing for lack of standing because no one has had their rights violated in this case.
Well,
there's no damage.
Okay, but so how about along the same lines, and here's what I would say. it's not about hurt feelings. It's about, did actual damage occur? And
Right.
what I mean by that is he has to prove in a defamation suit that actual damage occurred. And then what is the cash value of that damage? In other words, if he can't go outside of his home and go to work for a month not because of hurt feelings, but because basically now he gets harassed because of the capability Shaq has to damage. If I say something about this guy, I got no capability to damage. It's me and him, right? But Shaq's out there with thousands of people who follow him, and he has a larger capability to do damage to this guy. If he can't walk out of his house, he can't go to work, and he's out of work for a month until he can finally show his face again, then he should be paid for a month's worth of work.
Well, okay, so
that may or may not be true, but at this point there's no allegation that he's lost work over it.
Well,
it's just sort of standing in his community is the
even if
the
he
claim.
has, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, there's plenty of talk show hosts who critique politicians on a regular basis. If a politician
Right.
loses
if
an
I
election,
say Joe Biden's ugly, and I've got a lot of people that are listening to me right now, more than 100,000 people are likely listening to you and I yickety yak at this moment in time. And if I say Joe Biden's ugly, do I owe him money?
No, you have to prove actual harm.
Well,
how is he harmed by what you said? It's
he
like
lost.
libel
What if he
or
loses his
slander.
next election?
he's going to
because
lose
of-
his next election. He couldn't get elected out of a brown paper bag. He could have decided it's my fault. I'm reasonably
then
certain
you
I got
would
a
actually-
Florida governor, knocked out of office at the very least. I'm just that vain.
Well, hopefully you didn't violate any of the campaign finance or the recent laws that they passed as far.
I hate those laws. I have no idea what those laws are, but I know that they're infringement on my right to speech.
I mean, if somebody starts to, if somebody like Shaq with this influence that you're talking about says something or does something that's offensive, and other people mimic Shaq as a result of that,
Aren't those people responsible for their actions individually from a right standpoint?
well, and also it sounds like what you're saying is people who are more influential should not say things that they don't feel like they should, or they shouldn't say things that could be deemed offensive, because then they'll be sued. That's kind of a chilling effect on free speech, isn't it?
No, what I said was, okay, but you keep using the word free speech. Free speech means you're not going to get charged by the government for a crime for what you say.
That's what the First
Free speech
Amendment
is.
That's not what free
Right.
speech is.
Well, typically when you say free speech, people are talking about the guarantees under the Constitution.
I
and you're
believe
free
that
to say
you are
whatever
free to
choose.
say things that are offensive because you have the right to speech. You have vocal
right.
cords
and
you have a mind.
Now,
I
you
don't
don't-
believe the government gives rights. I believe that the government was allegedly here to protect rights, but it has failed at that miserably, and that this case is evidence of that.
Well, Daniel, you do have free speech to say whatever you want, but only on your private property, right? So you can't come on the airwaves with us and start dropping the F-bomb, or we're going to hit the dump button, and that's going to be the end of your call, because you don't have free speech here. Now, generally, our topic range is fairly open, and we'll let you call in about pretty much anything as long as you stay without, using the 7 dirty words or whatever. So
6.
Free speech doesn't exist on private property, and I think on that much we probably would agree. But if you're on your own private property and you want to say all kinds of horrific things about people, whether they're popular or not, you should be able to do that, and you shouldn't be able to be held liable for simply saying something about another person.
Well, that depends on whether you actually cause harm. Okay, so just like slander, just like
I don't
libel,
think words can cause harm. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think sticks
No,
and
that's-
stones may break
I
my
don't think-
bones, but words will never hurt me. I learned that in grade school, and I think it still applies today. And I thank you, Daniel, for the call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Do words cause harm? I mean,
You and I disagree on this, because you'll say that there's no such thing as defamation. You'll say there's no such thing as slander. You'll say there's no such thing as libel. I disagree. I believe that that there's something that, if I get on the air right now and say Daniel, who just called in, is a doctor, and I say, Daniel, when his patients are out, he diddles them, or something ridiculous like that, completely unfounded, and just say it for no reason. reason.
I don't think
yes,
that's a crime.
I'm not saying it's a crime, but if it causes somebody not to go to him as a doctor who was going to go, hey, don't go to him.
Buyer beware. A buyer should check out claims, and if you just want to believe somebody making a claim on the radio or making a claim on the internet or in a magazine or newspaper article somewhere, then shame on you.
Shame on you for shame on me for saying things that aren't true.
Right. Well, you shouldn't say things that aren't true, but the proper way to respond
when you don't
to
hold
speech,
people responsible for the things that they say, they will say things that are untrue.
You should
because
be able to
people
hold them
are a bunch of lying thieves. I'm sorry.
Hold them responsible by using more speech, not using the law and
what
the courts.
What am I going to say? Nuh-uh, I don't diddle people when they're out and unconscious in my office.
You'll say, prove it, buddy. That's ridiculous, and you have no evidence.
Prove it's the first thing that anybody says who's done it.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, that's what they say. Prove it.
Well, you can, if you're so bothered by it, that's how you can respond to it. Otherwise, you can ignore it because it's just some other jackball, insulting people on the internet. I've got all kinds of people saying, libelous, slanderous things about me on the internet. I don't care.
You're a talk show host. Oh no, all news is good news for you, buddy.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, there's been some nasty things said about me. I've just got better things to do with my time than chase people down over the things they say.
That doesn't mean that I don't have the right to. If somebody says something that they...
Oh, man up. Let's continue here with more calls and thoughts.
Now I'm a girl.
Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Brian in Madison. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Brian.
Hey, I was wondering, did you hear about the Jesse Ventura winning his lawsuit regarding what somebody wrote about him in a recent book?
Yeah, no. Jesse Ventura won a lawsuit against a dead Navy SEAL against his estate, and it was a rather sizable.
1-point-something million, right?
Yeah, it was quite a bit that he got out of the deal. So
1.8 million. You know what, Brian? I don't know much about it, but if you want to tell us, we'd love to have you hang on through the news. Can you do that?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Hang on. More with Brian calling from Madison, Wisconsin. Your calls are welcome about whatever's on your mind. What about bathrooms? Something else that everybody can relate to. Gender open bathrooms. We'll tell you about it. One university's proposing it. What does it mean, and would you feel comfortable with it? It's Free Talk Live. In the first hour of the show tonight, this live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live, we talked about Shaquille O'Neal, who is 42 years old and behaving as though he is about 12 years old. He has made fun of a young man in his early 20s who has a debilitating, unusual condition, made fun of the way he looks by attempting to imitate his kind of scrunched up face and his teeth.
He didn't know the guy had a condition.
I don't care if he didn't know the guy had a condition. I don't think that makes it any better or worse, whether or not the person had a condition or the person who made fun of the person who had a condition knew that the person had a condition. I don't think that, personally, that doesn't make a difference to me. But Brian in Madison, Wisconsin had called in the very end of the hour listening to the Mike 92.1 about Jesse Ventura, since we were talking about people who have said things about others and then gotten sued, because Shaq is being sued. You wanted to bring up Ventura. He sued somebody who wrote a book? What happened there?
It was a Navy SEAL sniper. I think part of the Blackwater. He was actually connected with the Blackwater or something like that. But he's a Navy SEAL sniper, and apparently there was some funeral going on at a bar, or some kind of a gathering that the Navy SEALs had at a bar in memory of one of their fallen. And Jesse Ventura apparently went up to this Navy SEAL sniper and said, you guys deserve to lose a few. And then this guy claims that he punched and knocked out Jesse Ventura, and that he wrote about it in his book. And apparently Jesse Ventura says that's not true. And then he sued. I think he filed a lawsuit against the sniper when he was still alive, and then he died in an accident in Texas. And then now he ended up suing his family.
The estate, essentially, and then of course the family would have been the ones to get whatever he was going to get off of it. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I was surprised. That he won that.
Well, I mean, I could see how it's defamatory to somebody say, look, this guy, I knocked this guy out when you didn't knock that guy out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went around punching people that you didn't go around punching is kind of a strange thing to say.
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes down to whose word you believe. I mean, his word against the other guy's word, and then you spend all that time proving that in court. I mean, But
how did Jesse Ventura prove that he didn't get knocked out in a bar? Did he find other witnesses who said,
they both had witnesses that say it was true and that it wasn't true.
Huh.
And they were both put on the stand, and I guess the jury believed Jesse Ventura.
Wow.
His witnesses over.
Well, the sniper made a positive statement, positive in that he did something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knocked Jesse Ventura out. And then Jesse Ventura has made a negative statement, which is nuh-uh, right? And so, therefore, generally it is considered, from a rhetorical standpoint, the obligation of the person who has made the positive statement, the earth circles the sun, as opposed to the person who makes the negative statement, nuh-uh. And so, the person who makes the positive statement is the one who has to prove it, so maybe the jury decided to go. I mean, to me, that would be the thing that would be necessary at that point. But if it happened and, and for whatever reason, Jesse Ventura could get some people to say, nuh-uh, then that kind of stinks.
Yeah. But I mean, it gets back to the free speech issue. It was written in a book, and people should be able to write whatever they want, right?
Well, Ian would say that. I, however, believe that people should not initiate force, fraud, or theft against others, and I think that there should be ramifications for people that punch people without an initiation of force. I think that this Navy SEAL shouldn't have punched Jesse Ventura if Jesse Ventura said something like, one of you Navy SEALs deserve to die."
So wait, is it true that he punched Jesse? It's just that didn't knock him out?
Jesse is saying that it never happened. He never the guy never punched him. I don't know if he even said that they even met. I don't remember. I mean, Jesse did a number of interviews after that, but he's denying that he ever punched him or laid a hand on him, and he denied the statement. He was really bothered by the statement that he said that the accusation that Jesse said, you guys deserve to lose a few. Because Jesse was a former Navy SEAL who fought in Vietnam and stuff. So
you think that the guy should be able to write whatever he wants? You think the author should be able to write any claim about he, punched Jesse, even though it wasn't true, and that should be fine, right?
Well, in this case, the thing with Jesse Ventura, because he's a public figure, he's got the ability to go on, a number of network TV shows and dispute what is done.
Nuh-uh.
Where somebody who's not a public figure doesn't really have that option.
Well, I don't think
it is really tough, though. Dead Navy SEAL claims that he punched and knocked you out, and then you've just got to go and make the circuits on these talk shows and say, "Hey, somebody wrote this, and it's just not true about me. Not true, not true, not true." Makes you the former bald wrestler doth protest too much.
Right. But I mean, he's a lot of it is that he's upset that his patriotism was put into question too, and that happens all the time.
Yeah, people question my patriotism constantly on the show.
Brian, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate the sum up of that story because I hadn't taken the time to look into it, and thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Saying things that are offensive and then lawsuits being filed or doing something that's offensive. In the case of Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, I don't know if he said as much as he did post an offensive picture. He posted a picture that made fun of a young man with a debilitating kind of sad condition. And now a lawsuit has been filed. And, Mark, you feel like people should be able to sue if they've been libeled by somebody.
I do, but I think that this is interesting. This is so in this case, this man wasn't libeled. Shaq called him ugly. That's not libelous. That's
libel is when you tell a lie about somebody in print or in a recorded form.
Right, or it's not slander either. It's a subjective, it's an opinion. Now, I think it's interesting as, now that we're all content creators, a couple of decades ago, if Shaq would have said something like this, it would have been distributed through some media organization, a newspaper, a radio show, or a television show.
Instead, he just posted it directly to the internet.
And then whatever that distribution center would have their opportunity to have their opinion. And then Shaquille O'Neal said such and such, and we contacted Jamal, and he has responded in this way, right? Like, so that's they would be able to do those kind of things. Whereas now we're all content generators, and what does this new world say about what we have, how we can express our opinions? Because this is an opinion. It's kind of a distasteful one, but it's an opinion nonetheless. And Shaq backed away from it, and there's evidence that Jamal accepted his apology at one point and then has brought the lawsuit.
So you can share your thoughts on that if you would like. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.